Okay, welcome back to Salt City Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. In this video, I'm going to talk about this is originally this video was intended to help people who are trying to co-parent with a high conflict. This is intended originally to be a high conflict video for people because I've been getting more and more kiddos these days, whether locally or remotely. Reports of kiddos that are seriously suffering from major mental illnesses at younger and younger ages. It's not normal for like 11-year-olds to have major panic attacks and breakdowns, folks. And so originally it was supposed to be like a high conflict video, and I realize this is probably true for even people outside of that, but especially true for those that are like high conflict co-parenting or whatever. Kids who are being raised by a narcissist, borderline, you're gonna see major issues. But quite frankly, I really feel like our society, our culture is turning narcissistic and has a lot of those narcissistic attitudes. They're really damaging to healthy growth and development, exploration of identity and ideas. And that's neither here nor there. I've talked about that in other videos. I'm not going to get into it right now. But in this video, I'm going to talk about like the real faulty thinking and approaches of feeling like you have to fix your kids and what you should do instead and what's actually helpful to your kids. Because I get contacted by folks and kiddos having a breakdown, kiddos having a major breakdown, and how do I fix them? I've had parents ask me this specific question: what do I do? What do I do to fix it? And this is a question that parents usually ask from that space of they feel like they have failed instead of what is actually going to help the child. Because if a parent feels like I have failed, I have to do something so I feel better about myself, is usually where that is motivated from. Some people will take that better than others. I'm not trying to blame. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just trying to provide some insight. So I'm going to talk about how it's super important to approach your kids in different ways if they're really struggling. To be perfectly honest, like our kids are really struggling right now. I have been working with teenagers for 20 years. I've never seen kids doing this poorly before. With their mental health in general, the anxiety, the poor self-worth, like the suicide, the cutting, the issues with control, the disconnect from their parents, etc. And quite frankly, what I'm really seeing is that kids are having like a pretty normal or even sort of healthy response even to what they've been through. Right, their lives were canceled, their fun was canceled, their friendships, their activities, their extracurriculars, everything canceled, and our culture has deteriorated into this angry, blamey culture that everybody's furious and pissed at each other and blaming and finger pointing and everyone's afraid and everybody's anxious and everyone's like, and our kids have a what I would consider a normal response to these types of events or stressors, right? And I kind of hear parents like, why are they struggling so much? And I almost kind of want to be like, hello, and I think there's this idea from parents that if they were good parents and their kids wouldn't struggle. That's one of the myths, the parenting myths that I've been addressing and trying to tackle for years, is that if your kids are struggling, that doesn't mean you failed as a parent. Struggles are normal. Struggles are inevitable. Struggles are unavoidable. Like this idea, like life is not supposed to be hard for your kids, like that is so irrational. It's not based in any like rational reasoning or truth whatsoever, right? So let me get some housekeeping out of the way. And so I'm going to give you some ideas on how to actually support your kid and actually help them become healthier as human beings if you're really concerned about them. But if you're new here, I hope that you'll subscribe if you have not already. Help me grow my channel, please. Subscribe, share, notification bell, comment. You know what to do. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Costs you nothing. What does cost you, though, is if you hit the tip jar. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. You can ask me questions. I love viewer questions. You can send me an email, scottc@saltcitycounseling.com. Or leave a question in the comment section below. I do my best to get to those. I realize that there are a couple that I have intended to get to, but I have not. So I do my best. I stay pretty busy, to be honest with you. And I do offer coaching. I do offer consultations. I don't do therapy for people outside of the state. Um, Quite frankly, I do therapy at work. If you want some personal coaching on how to get well, have wellness, or coaching and consultations about how to deal with your high conflict situation, you can email me. You can contact me, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. It's funny too, like one of the questions that I always get, people will be like, well, do you know anyone that does what you do in the, I don't know, Dover, Delaware area? And it's like, I don't know a single person in, in, in that state. Like I had someone ask, like, who do you know in the Pittsburgh area or whatever? It's like, I don't even know a single person, period, that lives in Pennsylvania, let alone a therapist or one that does what I do. Everybody always asks that. No, sorry, I don't. I don't know anyone in your area that does it. I'm sorry. Google might. So, anyways, let me get into this. Okay, getting back to this idea, like, I need to fix my kids. And I was talking to some parents the other day where they're like, if my child is upset, I just want to fix them. I just want to fix it. And it's like, that's not actually helpful. It's not, that's based on irrational ideas, and actually it creates a disconnect. It's very invalidating to your kid. Plus, this idea that you need to fix them implies that they're broken. Okay, so they're not a faucet. They're not a leaky faucet. They're not they're not broken. I don't like thinking of people as being broken. If your kids are having normal depressive and anxious and mental health issues around a pandemic when their lives are canceled, I call that normal. I don't call that broken. I honestly don't even see that as something that necessarily needs to be medicated, right? Like, that would imply like there's something wrong with you and we need to make this go away. Instead, I really encourage parents to try to look at this like, your kid is showing a normal response to a bad situation. How is that broken? How is that brokenness? Why does it seem appropriate to treat this as brokenness? And instead, I really try to approach kids like, yeah, of course you're experiencing that. Look outside, right? And of course you're clinically depressed. I was talking to a 17-year-old yesterday about the pervasiveness of just this clinical depression that I'm seeing in teenagers. And the response was interesting. We're like, do you see that in me? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. Like, no joy, no connection, total loss of connection to a hopeful future. Doesn't find joy or happiness in anything anymore. It's called depression, folks. And if your kid has it, it's normal. If your kid is in a like, if they have a high conflict parent and they're having major anxiety, major panic attacks, one of the things that you really don't want to do, man, is treat them like they're broken. Like, something's wrong with you and we have to fix you, right? Like, it's okay. It's okay for them to be not okay. And by treating them like they're broken, or it's like, oh, this response is bad, right? Kids who have a high conflict parent who are having panic attacks often have an appropriate response to a normal stressor. So it's important to validate that. It's really important to just support them, have their back, right? Like I know you do. Like if the kid's like, I'm falling apart, and it's like, I know, I'm sorry I didn't do a better job. I'm sorry I didn't support you better, but I'm here now. You want to go get a taco? Let's go get a taco. Come on, take them for a walk. Just support them. Just be there. Listen. Like, listening is one of the easiest things that you can do as a parent. Too many parents, you don't listen with your mouth. I talk about this all the time. You don't listen with your mouth. So if your kid is really struggling, like, stop. Don't treat them like they're broken. And I also see parents too where they kind of take this attitude like, well, if my kid knew that there were guns, then they would probably pick one up and shoot themselves. And we sometimes treat kids like they're not invested in their own wellness, and so we just try to take it over for them. If you treat your kid like they have a normal, like, you're not broken for feeling this way. That's a normal response. It's okay to feel that way. And do your own work. Become disciplined. Do your own self-care. Forgive yourself. Be kind to yourself, so that you don't take these things personally. I see these parents, and they take it personally. And when they take it personally, their responses, their interventions are just not helpful to the kid. And so it's really important, and this is why I talk about self-care, in high conflict situations, and I was planning on doing another video on this, a different video. Self-care is so important because when you are right, totally right with yourself, your response to your kids is going to be so much healthier. So much healthier and so much more stable and predictable. A lot of kids struggle because they don't have predictable parents, emotionally predictable parents, okay? The more emotionally predictable you can become, the better. But that's just frankly a whole other video. That's frankly a whole other video. And so if you want that video, leave a comment down below. I'll do that video if anybody wants it. So leave a comment if you want that video. And that's going to do it for this one. See you in the next one.